Greetings and salutations, energies. This is Wolfphototech, and here we go with another, yes, indeed, yes, do my goblin voice, yes, goblin voice. But anyways, I actually have like 10 or 20, I guess I actually have 20 plus goblin voices. But it's kind of hard to pin them out and sort them out quickly. So it's 10 to 20, variable. But anyways, this is the quick review or overview of the Pathfinder Advanced GM screen or Advanced Gamemaster screen for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. You have this really nice hard sheet, not a flimsy piece of paper, but hard cover. It has a basic explanation of the open game license in which Paizo runs Pathfinder 1st, 2nd, and Starfinder under. Beautiful little illustration on the back of what's inside and what's on the front. I'll put that back up in front of the Starfinder box. This is the Advanced Gamemaster screen. There's so important things when discussing this screen. You got yourself a pretty terrifying scene of a demonic conflict. By the way, that is actually a demon, not a dragon, because or is it a devil? I believe it's a demon, if I remember correctly. And I cannot remember his damn name. It starts with a Z. For whatever reason, I'm really bad at remembering demons' names. Particularly if they start with a Z. But anyways, you have this delightful section here called the Conditions section. This describes the conditions in which your characters or monsters can be inflicted with. You got the death and dying mechanic right here for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. The death and dying mechanic actually solves one of the most common complaints and irritations in Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition. About, you knock a character down, someone hits them with a healing word, they pop back up, they continue fighting at full power, you knock them back down again, someone raises them back up, knock them down again, they raise back up, you knock them down again, you raise back up, knock them down again. This fixes that problem outright. Boom. You got unconscious rules. Incidentally, there's actually, in the core rulebook, there's a page number for each one of these sections. So if you want a deeper, more granular explanation, there's the page number on this screen. As I said, this is the advanced screen, so there's going to be some differentiations between this and the basics, the regular screen. You got the unconscious, you got falling damage rules, falling damage, environmental damage, travel speed, structures, the how hard it is to climb something, and how hardy it is and how much HP it has. So if you come up against a piece of wood, the climb DC for wood is basically around 20. The hardiness, HP, and BT is 10, 40, and 20 for wood. You got door, wall, portcullis. So you have wood door climb DC. You got a wood a wall climb DC, like wood slats, which is 15. So it's a 20 to climb a door. It's a 15 to climb a slatted wall of wood. And a portcullis is a 10 climb DC. You also happen to have force open information. So if you want to knock a door open or break a window open or lift a wood portcullis or lift iron portcullises, boom, you got that stuff. You got terrain rules explaining uneven ground, inclines, narrow surfaces, hazardous surfaces, greater difficulty terrain, difficult terrain, so on and so forth. You got creature identification. So if you wanted to figure out, hey, How do I figure if I know anything about aberrations? You got that right here. By the way, this is a nice 4-panel screen. It's always horizontal landscape. You got simple DCs, DCs by level chart, DC adjustments, creature numbers, elite adjustment, and weak adjustment. This is actually a really nice mechanic in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, where you could actually quickly, say like you have a goblin in combat, and the party is just ripping them apart. And you want to quickly adjust them by a level or two to make them harder or easier. Say like the goblins are overcoming the party. You have weak adjustment. You can actually use this if you really need to as a quick, in order to adjust the character the level of difficulty, I could just, this is the standard stuff you can use. You can bring it down or you can bring it up. This is really handy to do ahead of time, but it's also cleanly and simply put here in such a fashion that you can easily do this if you really need to in the middle of a combat if you notice that your goblins are doing too good or not doing good enough. You got XP ward section, adversary or hazard level chart for experience. You got an encounter budget table right here because your the difficulty of your encounter is calculated off the cumulative experience points in which the enemies give out. So if you know you have X many goblins, you total it together all their experience, you know based on the character level of your party versus the levels of the goblins and the total experience of how difficult that encounter should be. It's actually an exceedingly good system. You got duration of challenge chart down here. You got hazard numbers right here. So stealth or disabled DCs, ACs, high, low, hardiness, attack, damage, DC. You got reputation chart. You got favored, disfavored, revered, admired, liked, ignored, disliked, hated, and hunted. So this is actually a really nice chart. The quick overpoint difference for this is that this, but compared to the basic one, and I'll go into the basic one when I get to that video more. And this one is more for this one is set up that it doesn't cover the really simple step-by-step, everyday mechanics, stuff you characters are going to do like 1,000 times all the time kind of stuff. This covers more, this is more niche things, and this is more situation. Your players are being really clever, like trying to tear apart a stone wall, which you have information here for how, hey, what's the AC of a stone wall? You got a mason wall. You got climb DC. You got hardiness for the wall. So masonry is 14 hardiness. It has 56 HP. The BT is 28. Alrighty, you now know how much your players have to hit that wall when they roll to attack it, and how much damage they have to do, and how much damage over a certain threshold they have to inflict upon it to do damage to the wall. Awesome. This is a great screen for people who are like, your players are now in that phase where they're trying to dismantle your world. And you're throwing in all kinds of fun hazards, so that you have all kinds of cool things you're throwing down to make it harder for them or easier for them, or stuff that you can fine adjust things. This screen is really for your players are dismantling the world, you're fine adjusting, seeing difficulties, all that fun stuff kind of thing. It still contains a lot of the more nuanced but fundamental stuff, but yet it also contains like exact travel speed per feet per minute, miles per hour, miles per day chart here for travel speed in increments of 10. And it contains environmental damage chart, falling damage instructions, and various gradients of terrain difficulty from being just inclined to uneven ground to greater difficulty. So it's really good for, like, really, as I said 1,000 times already, this is really cool for all those fine adjustment situations where you really need to add the complexity and nuance into your Pathfinder 2nd Edition game. Whereas this one is more just the core essentials. And I'll go over that in that video. But this is just... I haven't gotten around to actually using this one much of anything. I've actually referenced this for Brain Food for Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition more, which is actually a pretty good side application you can use. You have to adjust the DCs because the Pathfinder is a fixed system with higher rising numbers, so you have to watch out with the DCs, is that you have to adjust them down. But it's good brain food for D&D 5th Edition players to come up with some texture and depth to their mechanics. Which makes sense because, by default, when Wizards of the Coast makes adventures, they will oftentimes use gradients in success and failure in their adventures, but they don't really touch upon that too much in their player handbook or even the Dungeon Master's Guide as much as Paizo does. Paizo really goes the extra mile to add in that extra set of gradients and texture to that whole experience. So, the preliminary score for this, it's like a 4-star. It's like beautiful artwork. I didn't even spend too much time looking at the artwork with you guys, but it is beautiful artwork. Paizo does an amazing job of having a beautiful broad range of characters. It's a 4-panel. All the text is somewhat large. The charts are large and easy to read because they provide adequate space between all the numbers for quick reading. The text is roughly the size of, say, like the other screens, so... But they have made the good decision, Paizo, of putting the text, the explanations towards the top of the screen and putting the charts to the bottom more, which is actually easier to read. The charts are easier to read than reading fine text, like in the instructions for various mechanics. So at least they made the intelligent decision of setting the charts lower and making them large enough that you can easily read them quickly. And then putting the stuff that is more fiddly, detail, text up higher on the screen, and so you don't have to squint so much or bend over so much to read it. This is a solid 4+ star screen. In the preliminary score, to actually get a proper score, I have to actually use it a lot more in an actual Pathfinder 2nd Edition game to be really comfortable giving a score. But it's still super good for the price and everything. It is not, say, a Chaosium screen pack bundle situation where you literally get a whole bunch of awesome stuff mixed in. It's one of those situations where they gave you something that's... They had the option to, like, here's a screen, we made it really good. That's it. If you enjoy these videos, please consider leaving a like on the videos and consider subscribing and commenting below. If there's any game system you want me to cover more of or less of, you can put that in the comment section below. If you want me to do a deeper dive into various game systems, you can do that. You can ask me, hey, I would like a guide on Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. And I'll put that into my list of things to do, because I'm nice enough and I will literally listen to my audience in that regard. However, keep in mind, that I came in on new school tabletop gaming, and I'm less experienced with old school stuff. So in order for me to do a high quality guide or explanation on that, I had to calm my butt down because I get really worked up easily. And when I get worked up easily, I sometimes repeat myself. And B, I had to actually play those game systems more and read in depth into them a lot more to do a quality guide. Or something like Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, Pathfinder 2nd edition, Call of Cthulhu, that's not going to be terribly difficult. You know, I have enough experience reading, playing around with them, reading through my collection of books, playing with people, running games, that I could actually, like, if I really needed to, like, do a guide series on how to make characters in Call of Cthulhu, I can do that. If I really needed to do that with Pathfinder, I could do that easily. I could do that with Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition easily. I can explain 4th edition. I can explain Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 edition fairly effectively. Original Dungeons & Dragons, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, RuneQuest, not so easy. I haven't played those systems, and I haven't even read or studied them terribly in depth, so I need to really get on that. So, yet again, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you have an awesome, delightful day, a nice night, a wonderful week, a magnificent month, and the year should hopefully get better, not worse, in the world. But, hey, see you next time.